It's recording. We're recording. It's rolling. Are you ready? All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first official episode of the Infinite XP Podcast. The previous episode was just an intro. Yeah. Doesn't count. This is our first episode.
So if you're counting, that was zero.
That was zero.
Okay.
I'm your host.
Start over.
Should we start over, or do we include that? Because we've already started. We got our show going.
Okay.
The producer, Cameron in the back, dropped a hammer on a weight.
Dropped a hammer.
That's what that loud bang
is. The hammer is down.
He's dropped the hammer. Now he's laughing.
Right.
Anyway.
Who are you?
I'm your host. One of your hosts, Lawrence Whittemore.
All right. I'm two of your hosts.
Two. No, he's both of them.
Ryan Dawson.
All right. And
hi, y'all.
We're here to talk about what we love.
We like video games.
So one thing that we talked about briefly before we started recording was if we needed an intro of some sort.
That was it.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
And
did we not have an intro yet?
We had an intro, but I think we need an intro. And what producer Cameron wrote up gave us some options. You want to read one of those options?
Intro is random stuff by random people. I don't think that applies to us.
And I think we are pretty random. If you're watching this, you probably have no idea who we are. If it hadn't been for the fact that we just said our names.
You still wouldn't know.
Still probably don't know.
Now you kind of know us. We're
and
the
second intro option that producer Cameron gave up was some stuff by some people.
Which I think means that we should have said something by somebody or made up something random by someone we didn't know. I don't think it was supposed to be quite so literal.
I think it's literal. I think he's going literal. But anyway, You know what? What we're going to do,
take it.
Because Cameron's probably the biggest influencer on the show.
Yeah. He's the reason we're here right
now. We'll
now.
pick one of his intros, and maybe if someone watches this video, leave something down in the comments. Tell us which intro you want. Random stuff by random people or some stuff by some people. And I think Cameron would greatly appreciate that. So, anyway, let's start off with some news. So I went ahead, and some of this news is probably a little older than what I think we want to typically do. We'd
like to call it current events, but maybe it's just events.
Events that we're currently talking about.
So current events.
Here we go. Anyway, what I was going to say was I think we're going to try to keep it a little more current. Some of this stuff is a couple weeks old, but this is our first show, and these are things that I thought were interesting that maybe we would still want to talk about, even though they might have already been talked to death by someone else.
But we have yet to kill it in conversation. So this is our best attempt.
We're going to kill it. So here we go. The first news item that I wanted to talk about was the Video Game Hall of Fame. And this is actually really new of just the other day, May 3rd.
And I think it's so cool that there is one, period. I don't know if I mentioned that, but just the fact that there's a Hall of Fame for everything is pretty cool because you can pick yours. People like music, people like sports. We're here to talk about Video Game Hall of Fame. And I just think it's really neat, too, because you might not have played those games, especially if you're younger than us. We barely remember playing those games. These are games from way back.
Right, yeah. Several of these games are fairly old. So this is from Engadget.com, and let me just read right from it. It says, the Strong Museum has announced this year's inductees to the World Video Game Hall of Fame. Space War, John Madden Football, Tomb Raider, and Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
They were selected from 12 finalists that also included Asteroids, Call of Duty, Dance Dance Revolution, Half-Life, King's Quest, Metroid, Minecraft, and Miss Pac-Man. The four inductees span multiple decades, countries of origins, and gaming platforms, but all have significantly affected the video game industry, popular culture, and society in general, said the Strong Museum in a statement. Tomb Raider and Final Fantasy VII were both finalists last year. So,
why is Asteroids not in there already? Why is it still on the list? I mean, as far as if you think of a game that you played when you first started going to an arcade to play games, Asteroids was it.
Great point.
And it was also, one of the first you probably recall on Atari. Was there a version before Atari?
Probably arcade before Atari.
So, when you talk about the influence of games, is it because that game didn't spawn much more
But Asteroids actually has games like Geometry Wars.
Oh, for sure. There were iterations. Yeah,
Asteroid spinoff.
Yep.
Some heavy hitters, Call of Duty. That's biggest game, top selling game every year right now.
So are we to understand there are no Call of Duties at all in the Hall of Fame? That's something we should have
probably
looked up?
should have done some research.
So
but
in that, is this the first title, like it implies? And
well, that wasn't even inducted. That was finalists. So
right.
Maybe they'll make it next year. Maybe not. I don't know. But one game that I absolutely loved and I think should have made the list, or should have maybe made it over some of the other ones, was Half-Life.
I didn't play much, but you don't have to play much to know that it was a great game and it was well worth investing your time in. It was in the sort of time span where I wasn't playing a lot, and when I wanted to play, it was other titles calling me.
Right, and Half-Life was primarily a PC game until it was ported.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I don't even know if the original Half-Life did get ported. You can let us know in the comments if I'm wrong.
So I played Half-Life 2.
Half-Life 2 did, and that's really where my love goes, was Half-Life 2. I played Half-Life 1, loved it, and I remember in college talking to people, and they're like, "Hey, did you play Counter-Strike?" And I didn't know what Counter-Strike was at the time, but that was a mod to Half-Life.
I didn't know that.
And then Half-Life 2 came out in 2004, and it blew me away. It's so good looking, and it raised the bar.
Yeah,
video games had a new standard.
It combined the great story with great gameplay, terrific action, and just the ease of the whole experience.
And that's when they added the gravity gun. That was such a cool weapon.
That was fun.
And I think that's what led to Portal. And I'm probably wrong, but
okay.
I think Portal was an offshoot of Half-Life. It was probably something that they were testing.
So what was that bundle that came out? The orange box
came out, had Half-Life 2, Portal
2,
and it had Half-Life episode. Just Portal.
Okay.
It had Half-Life episode 1 and 2 in it, I believe.
Yes, it
and
did.
It probably had like Team Fortress and some of those other things.
Yeah.
But so on that list, Space War.
I don't know Space War.
I don't know Space War. Sorry.
I know it's about time John Madden got in, because I mean, is there a football title you play other than Madden anymore?
Right.
NFL?
Madden's it.
Right.
I think when EA bought the rights to the NFL license, they pretty much screwed over any other game.
We don't play a lot of sports games. That might be something we want to get into.
Yeah, we really don't care for the sports game. Nothing against them. It's just not our flavor. Tomb Raider. I'm glad to see Tomb Raider make it.
Love Tomb Raider. I've always followed Tomb Raider. It was one of the first action-adventure third-person games I can remember playing, and I didn't care how polygony it looked. It was still fun. Plus, Lara Croft was hot, and it's weird to see a polygony hot character. So maybe I'm overstepping.
Guess I didn't see it back then.
No, right?
All right.
No.
But the new Tomb Raider games, and we'll talk about this later, are some of my favorite games. And very excited to see Shadow of the Tomb Raider this year. So I think that's a very deserving game. It's a franchise that's really stood the test of time.
I think it's cool that it evolved with our times to kind of get away from the chauvinistic outlook like I was just giving. Sorry, folks. It stepped away from the unrealistic body type and gave us a more acceptable character in that respect, a more relatable person, not Barbie body, and it kind of made you feel like maybe I could do that, because if she can, I could.
Definitely. And then the next one was Final Fantasy VII. So interesting. I'd have to do some research to see if other Final Fantasy games.
What was the last Final Fantasy you played? Was it 7?
Geez, no, I played 8. I played 7 and 8.
Because 7 is the only one I ever remembered even playing at all.
Yep, 7. I have a great story about Final Fantasy 7. I had a good friend who left his PlayStation at my house. I don't remember what he brought it over for, but he left it over at my house. Ryan Gill was his name.
Oh, I know him.
Ryan Gill has a comic that you should all check out called The Other Ass, and it's a band comic about musicians and bands and the stuff they go through. So there's our shout out for Ryan Gill and his The Other Ass. But he left his original PlayStation at my house, and Final Fantasy VII, and he had played most of the way through himself, or a good portion of the way through. And then I started playing it, and that was one of the first times that I said, wow, I really like role-playing games. And I played it, and I got to a point where I was further along than he was, and I told him, hey, dude, I'm at this point, and he's like, I'm not there yet, and he came and took his PlayStation.
You didn't get to finish it.
So I never got to finish Final Fantasy VII, and then
that's hard for him.
I picked up
he's a completionist.
Final Fantasy VIII on the PC a couple years later, and I don't think I ever finished that either.
Oh, man,
but I love the Final Fantasy games. Wanted to get into them more, but just one of those things that never did.
The I know it's in the title, but the fantasticalness of it, the fantasy, I kind of lost it. The superpower, and I guess it's kind of hypocritical to say, like, I'll play a game where somebody can have a superpower, Spider-Man, and love it, but the way they were, the Japanese-ness of it made it so I just didn't really feel a desire to keep going. And I mean, a great game, don't get me wrong. Lots of fun, lots of different aspects that you can, subtle nuances, but just something about it left me, wanting something else, I guess, to say
Wanting
it
more.
the best, yeah.
So, I guess that's it for the Video Game Hall of Fame. If you do want to read more, you can check out the article on Engadget.com. Next up that I want to talk about was the Fortnite Season 4 just came out.
Okay, Fortnite. I've had such a hard time with it. I don't care for it. I don't like the arcade-ness of it. And it's a fun game, but I just don't enjoy that style of gameplay. However, all the things they're doing make me want the seasons they're doing, all that stuff, the level evolution. I just think that's fantastic. And I think every game should do that.
I think that's the biggest part that I wanted to talk about. So, like you said, I've only played a little bit of Fortnite, and I did start playing it after the Season 4, and the changes they made to the map,
while I don't... Season 3.
Right, played a little in Season 3.
Saw stuff happening, the meteors coming down, and you're like, what's going on? Is this going to be a thing? And, it is a thing. And
then when Season 4 started, there was a great little trailer that introed it and kind of explained what was going on, or put some story behind what was going on. And then when you get on the map, there's a giant crater in the center, and there's these
little things that you can fight within, and you get extra powers when you're fighting.
Yeah, there's crystals that if you pick up the crystal, it makes you so you can jump higher.
That's what it is.
For a short period of time, but it's still pretty cool. And what it got me thinking about was, what if like PUBG, because we're big PUBG fans. What if PUBG did something like that? Put some sort of story in it, change the map up. They keep changing the map up, but put some story,
the only problem is when they do that now, it's too little too late. They're posers and that sort of thing, which I'm not one to judge. If it's fun, throw it in, let's do it. If it copies somebody, give them credit and go with it. Right. But a lot of folks, that's enough to say, wow, I'm not going to spend my money on that or spend my time with that because it leaves me with this feeling of a lack of originality or something, which I get. Music, I choose my style because I consider it original, and when other musicians copy other bands, I look down on them. That's a whole thing. So I can see how it can be done in video games.
Yeah.
But
so I want to see something like that added to PUBG. One thing that I was thinking would be really neat is like Call of Duty Zombies. Essentially, it's the same. You play horde after horde after horde, but they have an Easter egg. They've all had these Easter eggs that if you do certain steps throughout the game, you unlock this Easter egg, which might be an alternate ending or some sort of cutscene, but it's something that adds some story to it. Yeah. And I think that would be really cool if PUBG did something, along the lines that Fortnite has done, or maybe even like Call of Duty Zombies Easter egg that put some story in it just to give you something. Even, it was based off a book or a movie, Battle Royale, that...
What was?
The PUBG, the whole concept of the game was kind of based off of I want to say it was a book called Battle Royale that was the same premise, people trapped on an island, survivors, and I think the survivors in the book won by driving a boat off the island.
No, they won by getting a dinner because they would have starved otherwise.
Right. So, why not add something? How cool would that be if they added something? It might take away from the game if you've got everyone trying to complete this Easter egg and not trying to play the game, but who knows? Maybe add a special mode or map that has this ability.
How hard is that? Is that a difficult thing? Because you'd think by the way it doesn't happen often that it's hard, very difficult. But with all the constant updates that you have to download before you play almost on a daily basis, let's make some cool stuff happen, people.
Right.
Give us things to mess with. And then you take it away if it's not working already. So just, if it doesn't work, take it away. I don't know.
That's what we're saying. So, speaking of stories.
Oh, you can tell one?
This is the old story. This is kind of several weeks old now, but I wanted to talk about it because we're huge Call of Duty fans. But Black Ops 4, no campaign. And this is coming from Polygon.com. And it says Call of Duty Black Ops 4 won't include a traditional single-player story mode, according to sources with knowledge of the project's status. This shift in creative direction will make Black Ops 4 the first mainline Call of Duty to ship without a standard campaign. And again, that was from Polygon.com.
What other Call of Duty would be non-mainline that shipped without whatever that said?
I think there were some ports, like phone ports for the zombies mode and stuff. So
now
there's probably some.
So you know how I feel. I think everything you get in a game should be monetarily based or assessed or however you want to define it. You get more, you pay more. Or you pay more, you get more, and if they give less, you should have to pay less. It's very simple. Now, your point was... where do you determine
yes.
how much something is worth? Multiplayer versus campaign versus zombies along with multiplayer. That's a tough one.
Look at Call of Duty, how many hours you put into it. You know,
Yep.
if you're a hardcore fan like we are, the previous
Now-
iterations, we've put hundreds of hours
Into multiplayer.
and it was all the multiplayer.
Zombies.
So to me, that's
Yeah,
that's
so
worth
that's-
it's
yep.
worth the $60 without the campaign. But I love the campaign, and I hate to see that go.
Oh, definitely. In and of itself, I feel like a campaign is necessary because that gives me, going back to my old gamer days, the sense of why I'm buying the game. The bonus has always been the multiplayer.
Right.
Things have shifted. You kids these days.
I
changing
used
everything.
to
God darn
would play
millennials.
Call of Duty whenever I got a new Call of Duty. I'd play the campaign start to finish first before I hit the
Then
multiplayer.
play multiplayer.
Then
yes.
get into multiplayer because
yes.
then I'd have a little better understanding of how the guns work, the
Yep.
mechanics play.
Yep. And that's a good point. That's one of the things that it almost seems like the campaign came for that reason, to allow you to get used to.
It
That's
was the
funny.
tutorial,
I didn't really think
but
of
then
it like that.
at some point that switched. I got really good at the multiplayer,
So you get the new
and when I
titles.
got the new title, I jumped
Boom.
into the multiplayer
Yeah.
first.
Depending on how much time you had. If it was like a whole day, you do the campaign first. But if you had a few hours that night because you picked the game up late that day, multiplayer.
Right. Well, to me, it was the
Right,
multiplayer.
was
I
it?
forget which one. It was probably one of the ones that I picked up at a midnight release.
ever go to a
It's like,
midnight
I'm
release?
going
Yeah.
home. I did. I have
Yeah.
gone to a midnight release.
Those were the only midnight releases I went to. Was Call of Duty ones.
Probably for Black Ops, because I think
Modern Warfare 2.
I think the Black
Modern
Ops
Warfare
series.
2 was the epitome of Call of Duty. They didn't need to change a thing after, but they did. And that's how things go. I know.
That's
Go ahead.
debatable.
Argue.
Argue it in
Go
the
ahead.
comments.
Because I
Whoever-
know all of you will be like, noob tubes, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 was nothing but grenades. And it was so fun. You scavenge your perk and you could just throw grenades and it was just so great. And if you didn't like it, you stayed away and you skirted the edge of the map.
So,
But anyway, that's just
It bums me out to see that there's no campaign.
So, what I wanted to bring up about that is a lot of titles now that are multiplayer only or even campaign only. I guess multiplayer only. $30, $29, $35. That's a reasonable price for a game. I will spend that
Right,
on
if-
multiple games in a month or in a short span.
I think
if I
that-
spend $59.95, it's going to be a day or two before I go spend another $59.95.
Right, and I think that with games like Call of Duty, that makes sense that it's $59.99 or whatever they end up costing, $60, because you get the multiplayer, you get the zombies.
Right.
You got the campaign, but from what my understanding, what I've read from other places or sources or heard, that they're looking to implement some sort of battle royale mode, which I think that's
fun.
really cool.
I like
So
that.
hopefully,
That's worth money right
you
there.
know, that's what we get. Or
And the whole point is, how much are you going to play whatever aspect of it you're going to play? Let's say you get the game that has a campaign and you don't play the campaign at all.
Right.
Still could be worth your $60.
Call of Duty,
So-
the last Call of Duty World War II, I played 1 hour of the campaign.
and I beat the campaign and I hated the multiplayer only because I don't have the Twitch skills I used to and I kept getting beat and I'm a crybaby. But that's a whole thing. That's just me.
right.
He's better. He won, so he played more multiplayer. That's just how it goes, right?
All right, so enough
moving
about
on.
Call of Duty. We're going to move
Moving
on
on.
because we're trying to keep it to a half an hour
Right?
show.
You only got like 12 minutes left.
So I got a couple more stories that I wanted to read or talk about.
Yeah.
One was Oculus Go VR.
Okay.
So-
I'm down with the VR. That stuff is so fun. And the
Like-
thing about it is, it reminds me of the Wii in the novelty of moving around, getting up and playing in a physical way.
Yeah.
VR has now redirected that and repackaged it to physical gaming in a new way. So
So this is from Destructoid.com, and it says, with no formal prior warning, Oculus unleashed a new headset upon the world today. About a half year after the Oculus Go was first revealed at the VR focused convention Oculus Connect 4, retailers have started shipping them to consumers. Oculus Go is meant to be a mid-range solution that bridges the gap between the cheap and smartphone-dependent Gear VR
Right. Those are
and
kind
more
of-
impressive but high-end PC-dependent Oculus Rift.
they're expensive.
Go is a self-contained device, meaning that all its components are inside the wireless headset. No external tech is needed for the Go to function.
So you don't need to hook it up to a PC?
So you don't need to hook it up to a PC.
Okay,
and
keep
that's
going.
what I don't get. Well, it just goes to say there's two different models, a 32 gigabyte and a 64 gigabyte.
So boom, that's a selling point
So-
right there, because you had a PC and you were able to get the.
So
Rift
I have a PC in
to
the
add to
Rift.
it.
What boggles my mind is how it must not be for gaming, because I have a
the
high-end
processing power. Wouldn't
I have a
be there.
high-end computer
Yeah.
and the
Okay.
Oculus Rift.
That's disappointing, because if it gives you a little bit of what you get right now from
It'll probably give you a little bit, but even then, when you look at what the phones are capable of, I have
those are fun games too.
The Daydream for my Google Pixel phone, and it's really cool. Nothing compared to what the Rift on the computer can do. So what is this Oculus Go going to do? I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about this. I just thought it was kind of neat.
Especially how good idea. I missed that it's a standalone.
Especially how they stealth launched it. It just kind of came out, and you're like, oh look, the Go is out. That's kind of bizarre. But what can the Go do? I'm really curious to see where they go with that.
But the description sounds pretty. Or accurate, I guess, is not the phone, not the PC. I
think it's going to be more visual video streaming kind of thing.
Probably higher resolution
that you'll play.
I don't know. Sure. Phones are pretty capable these days, so that's interesting. That's very interesting.
We'll see where that goes, and when we know a little more, maybe we'll talk about it some more. So the next thing that I want to talk about was Campo Santo joins Valve. So this is from IGN.com. Firewatch developer Campo Santo recently announced its entire team would be leaving life as an independent studio behind to join Valve. And while the move may seem surprising, it's born from Campo having found itself in its own unexpected situation. We made the dream game. We made the game that wasn't supposed to make all the money. We made a sad guy in the woods, psychological Firewatch. Okay. Psychological / dramatic personal quest. Campo Santo co-founder Sean Vanneman told IGN to a phone interview. Now we're just trying to build a business to entertain folks who have been there since the beginning, like our fans and new fans. So I thought that was pretty cool because I was a big fan of Firewatch. And
I appreciate those words. When you give to a company, they should feel the need to give back. I think every company should follow that guideline, and that's nice to hear.
And so I don't know what this means. I know they're currently working on a game in the Valley of the Gods
But I feel like you, as a Firewatch fan, could buy this next game and get something that you felt from Firewatch again, in a way. That sort of value for sticking with it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's probably definitely something that we'll pick up, just as a fan of Firewatch. And, when you like something like that, it's just, maybe we don't have a lot to say about this news, but I just wanted to share because I thought that was something really cool. Something else that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
So this is
other things and
not
stuff.
Really news anymore. It's sort of news because
beep beeps because that's news. Okay.
It's sort of news because it's new things that were added, but Microsoft keeps adding to their backwards compatibility, which I think is really cool.
I do too.
And the two most recent games that came out earlier this month, so in May, was Dragon Age 2 and Saints Row 2 were both released earlier this month in the backwards compatibility, so you can play them on your Xbox One.
Okay.
I don't care. I think it's great that they're doing this. Why
but you like it, but you don't care.
Oh, and that was I don't have an article to quote or anything, but if you check out MajorNelson.com, you can see the full list of their backwards compatibility games. But what frustrates me right now with Microsoft, I'm what you would say was an Xbox fanboy. I got the original Xbox.
Look down on PS4 or PS just cuz.
Had the 360.
Folks. We were Xbox guys, so when you had a PC, a PlayStation and no Xbox, we're like, what?
Yeah.
So,
and 360 was a great generation for the Xbox.
Was. Connectivity, man, you can't beat it.
Now, with PlayStation getting all the great exclusives, is that what my Xbox One now is? Is a Xbox 360 backwards compatible
nostalgia machine?
It bums me out. I was disappointed. I signed up for Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
Played Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Didn't care for it. That was their big, huge game this spring, and I didn't like it. Then we got State of Decay 2 coming out.
State of Decay?
State of Decay 2 coming out later this month. Hopefully there's something there, but from what I've seen, it looks kind of more like State of Decay, and it just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
But then we look over what PlayStation 4 has to offer, and they've got God of War.
God of War is great.
Oh my God, I'm loving God of War.
And here's the thing, like if you ask me, Microsoft doesn't have a title that can keep up with PlayStation's titles.
That's my point. Microsoft right now.
I like Gears of War, but God of War beats Gears of War as far as just the tone and play, like desire to play. I guess maybe that's a personal opinion, but As far
We
as
should
game
move the mic in
styles,
just a hair because I think I'm probably like way louder.
I don't
than
know.
you.
Maybe you are.
That
But as far as
Can we
game
hear Ryan better
styles,
now?
I just feel like God of War has something over Gears of War, and it's unfortunate to feel that way for me because I'm a Microsoft fan, I'm an Xbox fan, and it feels painful that Sony's winning.
So I do have
That's competition.
one backwards compatibility article. This is from ScreenRant.com, and they probably pulled it from somewhere else. I'd never really heard of ScreenRant.com before, but it says this is about 100 billion hours. Not 100, 1 billion. Read that wrong.
Okay,
1
still
billion
a lot.
hours. So it says,
Still a
understandably,
lot.
this library of games has some considerable pull behind it. Now, Xbox One owners have been told exactly how much playtime has been put into these titles. Microsoft has revealed that gamers have spent a full 1 billion hours playing these classic games on the Xbox One, which is a serious amount of time. It marks a major milestone for Xbox in something that is clearly... Oh, that's written weird. In something that is clearly something Microsoft is happy to share as E3 2018 comes closer. So I think
So they're hung up on accomplishments.
we'll say that I'm wrong, that people apparently do like that, and we're
Okay.
going to move on because
I do have a question that needs to be answered. Backwards compatibility. When you're playing an old game, does recent released come into play, or are we going to go back to 5 years, 10 years? How far back are we going to go on these 360 titles to be able to play on your one?
You know, the Xbox backwards compatibility, they do have original Xbox games in it now as well.
Okay.
So,
But I gotta
and that's as
imagine-
far back as that they can go.
I got to imagine it's campaign only, though. I can't. Will there be multiplayer support?
I think,
And you know what game I'm thinking of?
Right, I
I'd pay money for this game again to play multiplayer. Battlefield 4. I would buy that.
That's available
game
on the
again.
Xbox One though.
It is, but you can't play multiplayer.
Really?
You
So
try to get on
I-
the server and you can't join
I think
in.
that's going to be dependent on the popularity of the game.
Because that's just it. You need what, 100,000 people or 20,000 people?
A lot of them use peer-to-peer sharing or
And when there's
servers, so you're
a
playing
few thousand people around the world that play. There's not enough to link
There's-
up with, and then
yeah.
connectivity is all jinky.
So yeah, multiplayer games I think are going to go by the wayside in that regard once they're
Phones bringing.
ringing.
What's the phone bringing?
Anyway, so yeah, we'll
Good
see what that
topic though.
brings.
Backwards compatibility versus new titles. I think we all know that you'd rather see a new title. However, a lot of us, especially at our age, where we're not kids anymore, nostalgia is a huge thing. It's a selling point in itself.
Right.
If movies, music, if it gives you a feeling of what you used to have at a time when you were going through a thing, boom, you're hooked. So, nostalgia, it's awesome.
All right, so we only got like a couple minutes left, so I just want to point out that if you
Wanna
guys haven't
introduce
tried
ourselves?
Destiny 2 yet, the Humble Monthly Bundle, it's $12 a month. You get a bunch of kind of random games, pretty good games sometimes. Right now, you get Destiny 2 for $12,
That's
and
worth
then
it.
at the beginning of next month, you get a handful more games along with it. So definitely check it out. I'm going to put a link in the description to my Humble Bundle URL thing that if you sign up for Humble Bundle through my URL, I get some sort of kickback. So
Boom. Please.
please, click that link. Sign up for Humble Bundle. I want to talk about what we are playing now.
PUBG.
So we played a bunch of
called Player
PUBG.
Unknown's Battlegrounds. I don't know if you've all heard of it yet. You might be late to the party. It's a pretty good game. It's pretty good. $30.
Been playing
It's well worth it.
God of War, as I mentioned earlier. Loving
War's
God
a
of
great
War.
title.
I'm
Yeah.
probably 6 or 7 hours into it.
Yeah.
Maybe more. But I'm absolutely loving it. But it's hard to find time to play single player games when all we want to do is play
PUBG. And so for PUBG reasons, we've been playing Fortnite to be able to compare and contrast, and we have our opinions. I'm sure you have yours.
Played some Fortnite. And
My last single player game was Assassin's Creed. Didn't have the draw for me to finish it. It was just too much grinding. We'll probably talk about that one of these days. Grinding versus what would be the opposite of grinding? Leveling up.
Leveling without having to grind. So yeah, I think that kind of pretty much covers what we can talk about.
Yeah.
We were hoping to talk about what we want to see at E3, but I guess we'll save
We'll get that next time.
We'll save
We'll
that
get
for
next time.
our
Next week
show.
Is that what we're doing? How are we doing this? Tell 'em.
Maybe we'll do it even in between. We'll do like a midweek
So
show.
keep your eyes out. You'll never know when you'll see us.
All right.
We don't have a schedule.
No schedule here.
No schedule. We
So-
got lives and jobs, and that comes first. So see us when you can.
Peace out.